Business Express on Smooth 98.1 in association
Studio.
with Stanbic
Mics are up.
IBTC.
And today's show is proudly brought to you by StanbicIBTC Lagos. Welcome to Business Express with Rotus. Good morning.
Good morning, Valentine. Lagos. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
And we're joined by a special guest, Dio. Good morning.
Taiwo.
Taiwo, rather. I'm
Stanbic.
sorry.
Yes, yes.
I wonder how I heard Dio. Hi, Taiwo.
Hi, Valentine.
Good to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Send a message to WhatsApp. Number is 0809 444 That's 0809 444 0981. We're live on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/smooth91FM Lagos. And also send a message to Twitter. Use the hashtag BusinessExpress91.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So, market yesterday was down by 0.15%. 38,664 is where we closed. So far this year, we're up by 0.9%. You can approximate and say we're up by 1%, but that's where we are, 0.95. 12 gainers yesterday, 36 losers. Prestige Assurance was the top gainer, up by 10%. Seplat, top loser, down by 5. We're at 362 naira to the dollar. So, Taiwo, what do you do for Stanbic? What do you help them out with?
Also, I'm an equity salesman.
Okay.
So basically, just see me as a touch point between investors, major institutional investors, and the Nigerian equity market.
Okay, and most of these investors it's a mix of foreign and domestic, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
nice. Okay, I do want to get into the market space, of course, and get your thoughts on what's been going on. But before we do that, we must talk about the budget. Benga Kamu hit me up on Twitter about 3 or 4 tweets talking about the budget finally being signed. Looking forward to dissecting it and so on and so forth.
He even added it here on WhatsApp.
He even said,
the exchange is not enthusiastic about budget signing according to indicators yesterday.
Exactly, Benga, that is correct. The market didn't really seem to care very much. But there's Taiwo, there's been some back and forth between the president and the National Assembly. He said he was, in fact, let me just read this quote here from the president. He sent a series of tweets. I assume everybody is full of presidents on Twitter. I hope so. Please.
Which
follow
one?
I think
NGR president?
There's NGR president. I follow M. Buhari. That's the one I
see.
follow. And he sent out all those tweets there. But in particular, he says, I am concerned about some of the changes that the National Assembly has made to the budget proposals that I presented. The logic behind the constitutional direction that budgets should be proposed by the executive is that it is the executive that knows and defines its policies and projects. So apparently the National Assembly made cuts amounting to 347 billion in certain allocations. They then added
to their own.
Yeah, to their own.
Very convenient.
The additions came out to 578. So there was a net increase of about 230 something billion. So Taiwo, your thoughts? The president said he didn't want to delay this any further because of capital spending in the economy, but he still had concerns. So there's
He had to sign it in June. 17 budget runs out in June anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he doesn't sign it now, and then this part goes on, by July, then there'll be nothing to spend, right? And then that's bringing the economic back into the halt, right? So and we don't want that. But basically, the whole back and forth between the National Assembly and the presidency is, I think the grouse the presidency has is majorly the fact that there are some key projects that they backing on and they're taking. You mean, you look at the Mambila Power Project, you look at the second Niger Bridge, you look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which the National Assembly actually cut the amounts that were supposed to use to fund that budget, fund those projects in the 2018 budget. And then of course the National Assembly on their own angle argues that if they left the budget to go that way, their constituents won't be happy with them. So back and forth. At the end of the day, my own point is it for the greater good of the Nigerians?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if the National Assembly is arguing that there are some projects that needs to be done, and then the presidency has not put them in, then there needs to be a middle ground for them to come together and actually say, okay, let's see how we can make this work. And I think that's what is not happening. I don't think they're actually communicating with themselves to say, oh, let's come to a middle ground and see how we can shelve this or shelve that. Anyway, the president has already hinted that there's probably going to be a supplementary budget. So I mean, as soon as that supplementary budget comes through the National Assembly, hopefully we'll be willing to pass that.
Okay.
And then I think it's almost normal, right? It's not uncommon to see this back and forth.
Right.
It happens in virtually every democracy.
But eventually, that's delaying projects. That's delaying developments. Hey.
It is a delay.
I mean, it is delaying, but yeah, it is what it is. It is the situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
And then it is the situation of Nigeria currently. I mean, I think what the presidency just needs to do is to focus on the ongoing one, and then see how they can, get that done. And then of course, they can easily put in a supplementary budget in the next 2-3 months, just to say we need to fund this and this needs to go ahead. Yeah.
All right, we'll see how that goes. We do have to talk about education. I think it was Benga that sent a message yesterday or the day before talking about allocations to education. And there's the Business Day did look at this. The headline is Federal Government's struggle to meet 26% budgetary allocation to the education sector. Looking at over the last few years, just to point this out, 2015, fiscal year 2015, 392 billion was allocated to education. That was just 8% of the budget at the time. 2016, 369 billion was allocated out of 6 trillion. That was just 6%. 2017, it was 7.4. This year, it's about 7%. So way under the 26% allocation. The Taiwo education, I mean, the article also goes into the primary level, secondary, universities, the infrastructure problems, salaries for lecturers. It's just still single-digit allocation is what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, education is key. I mean, if you look at most developed economies today, and now they got to where they are. When you look at their budget and you look at how much they allocate to education, then you would understand why they are where they are today. I mean, I think over the years, not just the administration, even the past administration, they've not really given much credence to education, which is something that that we think that needs to happen eventually at some point. I think I think the focus of this government has been clear. Is infrastructure. They just want to bump up infrastructure. Yeah. I mean, infrastructure is key. Don't get me wrong. It is very key. I mean, I think it's perhaps what we need the most. One of the things we need the most in this country at this particular point in time. To drive economic growth, to drive activities in the economy. But hey, education is also very key. I mean, when you have this infrastructure in place, you need to educate people to start running those plants. You need to educate people to start, in schools. And I think it's just not just on the federal government level. I think the state government, from the state government level, they need to do more. Right. Because when you go to the state government, you see the schools, the state schools, and the state is. I'm sure you know how it is. So I think even the state government, they need to allocate more to education and actually try to impact the educational sector and then try to get people more in the education bracket. There are loads of children on the streets that are not even educated. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think Nigeria is in a situation where we need to where we have the enough funds to subsidize education but then if you can allocate some money to start subsidizing education, even at the primary and secondary level, then we are going somewhere.
So you see a difference.
Yeah.
Valentine, let's read this funny tweet from tweets. What's that mention from Yinka?
Yinka says, so in your mind, Buhari tweets are why follow a handle that's being run by someone else? Sometimes I ask myself, did Buhari tweet those things himself? Unlike my other president, Babati, who we're talking about.
Baba Trump.
Yeah, who handles his own tweets. There's the way your tweets look like you, huh? Trump tweets like him, unlike us, so there's no resemblance.
Yinka, thanks for your message. But the thing is, from an informative perspective,
point of view,
I think that's what is important. What message is being passed across?
It doesn't matter who strikes the keys.
Are they passing the right message? Yeah. The message you want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, did you see him signing the budget yesterday? Somebody had to help him. I mean, we know he's not tweeting. We know Buhari is not the one tweeting, but it's just the information. All right, Taiwo, real quick. Let's jump into the markets. I have a few minutes left. So it's been back and forth. Yesterday we lost. I think 2 days ago we're up. It's what are your feelings on what's been going on in the stock market?
So you're looking at the market that when we started out this year, it was very 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 bullish.
17% year
in February. I remember in the beginning of February it was something, and then from there it was just downhill. Yeah. So what have we seen? And then you're looking at the past few months where we've had higher oil prices, external reserves are higher, inflation is coming down. Foreign reserves are higher, and then you're thinking these are the fundamentals that typically should support the market. Right. But we are not seeing that happen. I think that goes to say that the Nigerian equity market is still largely impacted by foreign investor sentiment. Right? So because to the extent that we still have a significant amount of foreign investors playing in this market, whatever happens globally tends to affect it. Okay. The U.S. Federal Reserve last week raised interest rate. That's the second time they're raising interest rate this year. Consensus is that they're going to raise interest rate at least 4 times this year. Yeah. So maybe 2 more to go. So I'm looking down the line. I'm saying people are probably just going to keep putting their money in US treasuries because the US treasuries are going up. I mean, why would I want to take a foreign exchange risk and come and put my money in markets like in frontier and emerging markets like when the rates are going up in the year? And if you have also been following the global economy, right? There's this EM story, the emerging market story that everyone is talking about, and the contagion effect is having on frontier markets like Nigeria. I mean, this was precipitated by the likes of Turkey and Argentina, where we've seen significant capital outflows, and then the currency has depreciated significantly over the past few months. And then, I mean, speaking to some of these foreign investors, they are taking a view and looking like, oh, if some of these emerging market guys are looking this way, if they are looking too risky at this particular point in time, maybe we should stay away from the old emerging markets and frontier markets and put our monies in the US treasuries and where interest rates are high. So that is what we are seeing. That's what is driving the sentiment, and that's why, I mean, over time we've always seen a positive correlation between oil prices and the ASI. But then that has been for the past 4 or 5 months. We've not seen that happen. We've not seen that happen, and that's the problem. So I mean, when you talk to some of these foreign investors, they are happy with what their investments currently in Nigeria. Thankfully, we're not seeing significant outflows. When I mean significant outflows, it's not that they're going out in their numbers, but it's just, I mean, prices have been coming down on relatively smaller volumes, right? So people are just doing crosses here and there. But I mean, that is the major underlying why we are not seeing so much activity in the market. Why? Because foreign investors are the ones driving it. The foreign investors are moving away from riskier assets now and just moving to, interest rates and instruments, and largely in the US and where interest rates are higher.
Good stuff. In fact, I was going to get into which stocks and sectors you like, but Valentine, we run out of time. Taiwo of Stanbic, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to having you again. Maybe next time we'll go over some stocks and sectors.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Taiwo.
Thank you very much.
All right, Lagos, thanks for tuning in. Of course. Pressed is smooth 98.1.
You came back on education.